The true purpose of the Sabbath, a gift for humanity. Hello, and welcome to our exploration of a profound statement made by Jesus Christ that has influenced religious thought for centuries. Today, we delve into the meaning behind Jesus' declaration, "The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath," as found in Mark 2:27. This statement invites us to rethink the way we view one of Judaism's most sacred practices. Let's explore what this means for both historical and modern faith communities. To grasp the significance of Jesus' words, we must first understand the role of the Sabbath in Jewish culture. Traditionally, the Sabbath is considered a holy day, marked by rest and cessation from labor. Originating in ancient Jewish law, it served as a day dedicated to focusing on God, spirituality, and family, thus playing a central role in Jewish religious life. However, over time, the observance of the Sabbath became more about adhering to strict rules and restrictions. The religious leaders and Pharisees of Jesus' time enforced a complex set of laws governing what was permissible, transforming the Sabbath into a burdensome obligation rather than a cherished reprieve from daily life. In the midst of this legalistic approach to the Sabbath, Jesus' statement was nothing short of revolutionary. By saying, "The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath," Jesus challenged the prevailing interpretations and applications of the practice. Instead of seeing the Sabbath as a day filled with limitations, Jesus redirected the focus toward the well-being and freedom of individuals. This perspective invited believers to view the Sabbath as a divine gift meant to enrich their lives. During Jesus' time, the Sabbath had arguably lost some of its intended purpose. The Pharisees, seeking to maintain religious purity and adherence to the law, added layers of requirements that people were expected to follow rigorously. For instance, there were minute regulations about what constituted work, ranging from lighting a fire to walking certain distances. Such details drew attention away from the Sabbath's spiritual significance, turning it into a legalistic experience rather than a spiritual and restful one. The need to reform these practices was clear, and Jesus' message targeted the heart of the issue. By reinterpreting the Sabbath, Jesus aimed to remove the excessive burden placed on individuals. He shifted the emphasis from rigid adherence towards a meaningful, spirit-enhancing observance. This message was not about abolishing the Sabbath, but rather reclaiming its true purpose and blessings. Jesus' perspective framed the Sabbath as a divine institution aimed at promoting human flourishing. In his view, it was not meant to enslave people to a set of arbitrary rules, but to acknowledge human needs for rest, rejuvenation, and reflection. This realization sets a new tone for engaging with God and community, elevating the Sabbath from a day of obligation to one of opportunity for spiritual and personal growth. Understanding the original purpose of the Sabbath involves looking at its roots in creation, where God rested on the seventh day and consecrated it. It was established as a rhythm of work and rest, aimed at fostering well-being among God's people. The Sabbath was intended for humans to relax from their daily labors, to enjoy the fruits of their work, to reconnect with beauty and creation, and to set time aside for worship and acknowledging God. Jesus' teachings broke many barriers of tradition, advocating for a Sabbath that focused on benefit rather than restriction. His approach was groundbreaking, pushing boundaries set by society and religion. By doing so, he opened up the practice for reinterpretation and relevance that transcended strict adherence to rituals. At its core, Jesus' message about the Sabbath centered on human needs. The statement, "Man was not made for the Sabbath," clarifies that humans are not mere facilitators of ritualistic practices. Instead, it showcases the Sabbath as serving humanity by addressing essential needs: rest, connection, and spiritual refreshment. The contrast Jesus portrayed between legalism and spiritual growth opens a discussion about the essence of true devotion. Legalism focuses on external behaviors and rule following, while spiritual growth emphasizes inward transformation and authentic faith experiences. Jesus advocated for a Sabbath that nourished the spirit and encouraged a deep relationship with God, highlighting how legalism can inhibit genuine spiritual reflection and growth. This teaching has profound implications for modern believers. It invites us to reflect on how we might incorporate the principles of the Sabbath into our contemporary lives, lifting the conversation from mere compliance to genuine spiritual engagement that respects both divine command and individual vitality. A key takeaway from Jesus' interpretation is the emphasis on personal well-being. In today's fast-paced society, the need for rest resonates deeply. Rest impacts mental and physical health, and the Sabbath provides a framework for prioritizing these aspects in our lives. Providing a regular pause helps reduce stress, improve health, and restore balance, aligning with the holistic approach Jesus promoted. Beyond physical rest, the Sabbath offers a unique opportunity for spiritual rejuvenation. It's a time to step back, evaluate life, deepen faith, and renew our commitment to God's purposes. Engaging in worship, prayer, and meditation during the Sabbath facilitates a reset of our spiritual compass, keeping our lives aligned with what truly matters. Observing the Sabbath aids in establishing a stronger connection with God. It allows believers the space to quiet the noise of everyday life, recenter, and engage in deliberate acts of worship and gratitude that enhance spiritual understanding and devotion. The question arises, how can the ancient practice of the Sabbath be relevant today? The principles of the Sabbath are timeless in promoting balance and health. In modern lifestyles dominated by work and digital engagement, a dedicated day of rest is an invaluable tool for mental and spiritual well-being. Believers and non-believers alike can draw on the wisdom of this tradition to create a harmonious rhythm in their lives. Incorporating rest into a busy schedule is crucial. The relentless pace of modern life often leads to burnout, and the Sabbath serves as a necessary counterbalance. It prompts us to evaluate how we allocate our time and to create space for quietude and reflection. Confronting cultural and societal pressures presents challenges in observing a true day of rest. Many people are bound by work responsibilities even on weekends, making it harder to fully disconnect and engage in practices that replenish. Acknowledging these challenges sets the stage for finding practical ways to honor the spirit of the Sabbath. Overcoming obstacles requires intentionality and effort. Start by setting boundaries around work and technology use. Plan creative activities that foster relaxation and connection with loved ones. Incorporate spiritual practices at home or with a faith community to ground the day in meaningful tradition. Restoration should be a priority for anyone seeking to lead a balanced life. The Sabbath teaches us to value time spent in recuperation and spiritual activities over constant productivity. As Jesus illustrated, honoring restorative practices leads to a healthier, more fulfilled life. The challenge of balancing faith with daily commitments is nuanced. However, incorporating Sabbath principles doesn't require a complete halt of all activities, but encourages finding restorative moments that align with personal beliefs and lifestyle. The regular practice of Sabbath principles promotes holistic well-being. Diversifying rest and rejuvenation practices can impact social, spiritual, and physical realms, leading to a more integrated and serene lifestyle. Transcending legalism means focusing on intention over obligation. By reframing the Sabbath in terms of personal significance rather than strict adherence, believers can embrace a more genuine observance. Mindfulness and intentionality are key, cultivating a space where spiritual practice evolves naturally. The Sabbath also has a communal dimension, benefiting not just individuals, but families and communities. It encourages shared meals, collective worship, and community gatherings, reinforcing bonds and promoting collective spiritual health. While the core tenets of the Sabbath may remain consistent, diverse cultures interpret and practice it differently, enriching its meaning. Examining these variations allows for a broader understanding and appreciation of this ancient tradition. Encouraging viewers to evaluate their current practices is a practical step in adopting Sabbath principles. Reflect on current routines to discover new opportunities for integrating aspects of rest and spiritual reflection. Rediscovering the Sabbath frames it as a dynamic practice that evolves with individual needs and spiritual journeys. This perspective invites everyone to step into the Sabbath with openness and curiosity. To integrate Sabbath principles into daily life, consider starting small. Set specific times for rest, limit technology use, engage in spiritual practices, and prioritize activities that nurture body and soul. Establish new traditions that honor the Sabbath meaningfully. Whether through family rituals or solo reflection, creating personal traditions enhances the Sabbath's relevance and resonance. Hearing from individuals who practice the Sabbath provides insight into its transformative effects. Real-life stories highlight the positive impacts of regular rest and spiritual reflection on overall well-being. In summary, Jesus' statement that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, urges us to reconsider our approach to this sacred day. By prioritizing rest, spiritual reflection, and connection, we can rediscover the Sabbath's profound promise for personal and communal well-being. As you engage with these principles, may you find inspiration and renewal in the timeless practice of the Sabbath.